I didn't play an intro or anything because I'm still not sure my stuff is working. I'm gonna reveal the rest of this photo as soon as I know we're up and running and all that. It's my favorite picture of my dad. And
Yeah.
it's been on my desk every day. Like it's there. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Now, live from Chicago, the Hal Sparks radio program Mega Worldwide.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
Hal Sparks, actor, comedian, and multimedia personality.
And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Hal Sparks.
All right, let's do this.
All right, everybody, welcome to the show. It's the Hal Sparks radio program Mega Worldwide, now with 100% more Johnny Million. It's good to be with you.
That's right.
This lovely Saturday in a crazy. I always have a hard time naming the show, especially after what I've been through in the last month. You get in this mix up of should it be something poetic or should I just compartmentalize? And considering what I'm going through and my nature and the nature of my family being very much on the same page as a bunch of crazy people, I came up with this idea of when Trump was looking for a Marjorie Taylor Greene nickname, where he went Brown first and then had to explain it, and then he went to Marjorie Trader Greene, which is been around for a while but made popular by our friend the Major, and has really pushed that one. And I just decided to go with Marjorie Turntail Greene because I feel like it's indicative of where we are right now. And I don't think
it's just running from everything.
I have had certainly a few moments over the last year where everybody was panicking. And I irritated the crap out of everyone by not panicking. And one of the reasons
don't panic nearly enough, my man.
No, and I'm not going to. And just get used to it. And I look, it's not like you're short of panic, right? I feel like where people are overserved in the panic department, if that makes sense. Online, there is plenty of pearl clutching and devastation and catastrophizing and doom scrolling. And I feel in that situation you can either join them or beat them. And since reality will ultimately beat those folks, I've decided not to join. And I also can't. I am incapable of joining that. It is not, whether it's genetic or my parents beat it into me, or just the circumstance of growing up completely screwed from the beginning. Let me make an example of this, and then I think context is important when you're talking about these things, Johnny Million. You and I were talking right before the show that we have, variances in our parental experiences, and they're fairly stark, I suppose. And there was we were talking about how
Mrs. Million just walked by to see me doing that.
Like, what? I'm glad you're covering hard news, Johnny. That's what she's saying.
Yeah,
she's like,
exactly.
Roll her eyes. So I was trying to figure out. We were talking. I had to write my father's obituary this week, and it's impossible. And so the one that the funeral home does it for you.
Felonies alone.
Right. Well, I figure you can Google those now. I just had a little. And by the way, all of those things are no longer illegal. So for the record, anyways,
statute of limitations. And now that he's dead, I mean, he can like shout that from the rooftop.
I mean, morally, the country has moved on. Yeah, a lot of them were only laws that applied in the 1800s. My dad had a tendency to be like that, as is shown, by the way, in my favorite picture of my dad, which I am showing online right now. Which one of the reasons why it's my favorite picture is because he is holding a snake. If you see this in the image,
that's awesome.
That is just a snake.
It's not a divining rod. It does look like he's trying to find some water.
Well, he's got this. We've always said the look on his face was, "Where would you like this?"
That is intimidating. That's how he seduces people too.
Yeah.
Why would you like this?
Oh, indeed. Yeah. And he's wearing full-on long johns. He's the kind with the panel in the back, but he's got jeans and a belt on and a bowler hat from the 20s, I think, or the 1910.
That's amazing.
Officially.
I really wanted that bowler hat, that little rectangle there to say press, but Hal denied me.
No, that is his muzzle-loading shooter card for the shoot that they were having.
It sounds like a Star Wars insult. You muzzle-loading a shooter card?
Yeah, right. Well, it does, yeah. And it would be in that, I don't know, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, I've always been shocked they weren't using muzzle-loaders. But, like, how long ago are we talking? Ago. So, I found out a few things about my dad in this time period. There's the whole snake. I'm just going to show that online. It's pretty great. Yeah. And, you find out these things about folks, and my dad was
Chad was very impressed.
Yes. My dad was really good at making friends with a lot of disparate people. And that is a trait that I myself picked up from him, that I will fearlessly befriend people who would never be friends themselves. And the thing, yes, hello, right?
Hello.
Yeah.
Of whom I feel very called out.
But there was a general, because the world we lived in Kentucky, especially in Peaks Mill, the little log cabin I grew up in. I am not kidding, people. I grew up in an actual log cabin for the first from when I was 4 to when I was 14. We lived in Peaks Mill, Kentucky. I found out something though about myself that completely makes about my young travels that I did not know until my mother laid out the timeline. That I was born in Cincinnati. But my dad and my mom were going to... Yeah, you're right. And, the nurse all gathered round, right? So...
Wow.
It wasn't... I won't use a blues riff. I honestly came out to a Bill and Ted's, Steve Vai squeal. But we moved when I was 2 years old. From when I was 2 to I was 3. And in less than a year, we moved 4 times. We moved from Cincinnati to Fairmont, West Virginia, to Georgetown, Kentucky, to Peaks Mill, to Louisville, and then back to Peaks Mill, where we stayed. In less than a year. My parents bought 2 houses and sold them. By the way, our house in Peaks Mill cost $8,000.
Isn't that wild?
Because it was 1974, and no one wanted to live out there. And it was the only place we could afford. We couldn't afford any closer. My dad worked for the state, and the state government is in Frankfurt, but we couldn't move any, we couldn't afford to live any closer than Peaks Mill. And the reason this place, it was a fixer-upper. My dad was, very much into the fixer-uppers. And I want to tell everybody, this is why I speak maggot, by the way. And why a lot of times when I'm doing stand-up, I'll make jokes about the South because I'm from there. And people ask me, do you change your jokes when you go to the South? And I say, no. If anything, I double down because I have every right.
You have to
these ridiculous upper middle class maggots in their pickup truck F-150s, shiny with truck nuts on the back, that they never have driven through a field in their life. That they used to drive to Costco. I will go toe to toe with being country with any of these folks, and I think if this picture of my dad is proof positive. Many people have seen me and my dad in our buckskins. I posted that on my Instagram.
That was pretty fantastic. And you look absolutely bamboozled by whatever's in front of you, my man.
Oh, I'm just like a camera. What is this crazy contraption from the future?
What's that thing?
Right. I'm not kidding. I think I'm one of the least photographed children in the world because of that. And chat room, thank you guys for all the lovely things you've been saying and all the stuff that you guys have been posting on the videos. I'm sorry I have not been doing shows, but I'm also not sorry because I've spent a very necessary time with family. So we'll be back right after this. It's the House Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
Mega. Meow, meow.
You're a very talented fellow, Johnny Million.
Pew.
Yeah. Okay. So there's my dad and that guy right there. That's Harry Bickle. Harry Bickle gave me my first electric guitar. It was a Sears electric guitar, and it's made out. The body's made out of balsa wood, and the neck's like a baseball bat.
60 seconds.
My dad was in more bands than I have been.
Wow.
Yeah. There's Doc Hamilton and Charlie Cushman and Vince Gill. Who I found out
Guy can breathe underwater.
Yes. Do you know Vince? Do you know Vince's work? Do you know who he is?
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah. Yeah. He's with the Eagles now.
That's weird.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, because that one guy who they get rid of, he's actually still alive. The guy who plays the other half of the Hotel California solo, Joe Walsh, and someone who's difficult. People
And
will chime
Vince
in.
Gill. Yeah, right.
And Vince Gill now.
Yes, the Vince Gill. Vince is incredibly talented. Ridiculous, amazing guitar player just on his own.
This is Tom Hartman, and you're listening to the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide, on Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT.
So while I'm crowing about while I'm JD crowing about my bluegrass bona fides and the fact that I grew up in Kentucky, far more country than Mike Huckabee or any of these other posers pretend to be with their $800 suits and their, hunting in their jodhpurs, while pretending to be Bubbas or some nonsense, which is garbage. My dad had a band called the Buzzard Rock String Band, among others. He was in a bunch of other ones, but he and his buddy Harry Bickle formed the Buzzard Rock String Band, and they played around.
And Hal and I had a recording project called the Buzzard Rock Sponge Monkeys.
Right, because we were silly. And so I'm going to read a little excerpt from an article that was done about my dad in the Northern Kentucky Tribune, real quick, and then we'll move on to why that all these people saying in Congress, all of them, black, white, north, south, all of them saying y'all are posers. Stop it. All of you guys went to a fancy school. Stop saying y'all. Stop trying to podunk your way into ingratiating yourself with rednecks. It's embarrassing. Okay. While gaining architectural experience, Harry played with additional musical groups, including the Queen City Balladeers. One day, the Mitchell Trio, previously known as the Chad Mitchell Trio, was booked to play across the street from campus. A man named John Duchendorf took Chad's place that night, and for some time after, unexpectedly, a banjo was on the fritz. The man helping the group set up at the Wilson Auditorium, Mike Zorchek, said that when band member Paul's banjo needed repair, he simply said, "Call Harry Sparks. He's an architecture student and is a whiz at fixing string instruments." I came to the auditorium with a bag of tools and fixed Paul Prestipino's banjo. They offered to pay me, but I declined. It was such a pleasure to be in the company of these professionals. Duchendorf happened to have studied architecture too and was elated to have an expert nearby to repair the instrument. The trio played until 11 p.m. and then signed autographs, while Harry's group played at the Candlelight Cafe at the other end of campus. The trio came to the Candlelight Cafe, and they all ended up jamming together into the wee hours of the morning. A couple of years later, Duchendorf tracked down Harry to repair a guitar. He said, "Oh, by the way, I've changed my name to John Denver."
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Denver took a cab to Harry's house and chatted while Harry repaired his guitar. From then on, Harry received backstage passes whenever his friend John Denver was in town. He even got a frantic call to come to Denver's home in Aspen. So he got a true Rocky Mountain high as he spent a week there taking apart the banjo of Denver's band member, John Summers, and putting it together with a new tone ring. Summers is the composer of the hit, Thank God I'm a Country Boy. So...
Oh, quick fun fact. You know how much I love the Orioles?
Yes.
That is the 7th inning stretch sung for the Baltimore Orioles. And
which makes no sense. Right.
Makes 0 sense, except for back in the day when that song came out, one of the players was like, we need to quit playing this hokey stuff. Let's play something that's new and modern. What about that new John Denver song? So it's because it was a new hot single that it was adopted, and now it just is weird.
Mm-hmm. So that if I had decided at a very young age to not be an actor and comedian, and had decided I wanted to be a bluegrass musician, my road was paved. I could have just glided down, to the, by the way, the 4th tier of fame that is the world of bluegrass. Right. I could have slid right into that and just, it was, and if you ever want to learn how to play an electric guitar, get a father who insists on having acoustics all over the place.
Yes.
That said, I've been learning the banjo on my dad's banjo that he built with his friend John Turntail for about 6 to 8 months. Some of people remember that I brought one home because he had given it to me. And then there's another one that he had that I am inheriting, along with an acoustic he fixed up that is the same age as he is. It's a 1940 D28. That was, that's, so, I don't know. Yeah. So anyways, that brings me to Marjorie Taylor Greene, of all places.
Obviously.
A woman who ran gyms in her area. If you'll recall, she was knocking boots with a fitness guru behind her husband's back in this kind of scandal, not scandal that went on, that, that these people going, we're all down home and y'all and high and all this stuff in this, a woman who is started in Congress being worth about $200K, most of which was from a PPE loan or a PPP loan that she never paid back, that she used part of to fund her campaign, which is illegal, but what have you. And then she because that's violates public financing laws. The taxpayer funded her campaign without approval. That would be taxation without representation in that case, I think, technically speaking. And now she is worth about $20 million, and she's tapping out. So all this story about, it's about Trump and her relationship and yada, yada, wrong. She made her money, and she's heading for the door. And this reminds me of when Paul Ryan, you guys will recall that Paul Ryan's big thing was getting the Trump tax cut the first time through. Trump couldn't stand him and all this other stuff, and he now works at Fox.
Yeah.
But Paul Ryan's entire business model seems to be work in Congress until you can pass a business tax cut and then set up your business afterwards to take advantage of the law that you have helped craft.
Yeah.
That's what Paul Ryan did. Let's clear the field.
The way of it.
Right. Let's clear the field of any kind of they had differences and political intrigue nonsense. Paul Ryan specifically worked with others just like him to craft a tax bill that they knew in and out because they helped build it, and then left office, just like Boehner and all these others, and formed businesses where they knew exactly where all the loopholes were. There is a lot made often because on the surface, it's very TMZ about the political intrigue between these people. But let me be abundantly clear. All Trump, flailing aside and them, going back and forth, forget all that. That she's made her money and she's out.
I hate that.
Yeah. And it's very strange that people, seem to lose track of that. In all this, it's it's right up there, I think, with some of the things that I kind of beat my chest about, and like Chinese population and the oil glut. When I brought them up over, like for the last 3 years, and everybody, that's crazy, and now here it is. And also on the other side of that, I would like to put a flag in the dirt on one particular issue, which is there seems to be this common misconception that passes as common sense that everything's a conspiracy, nothing's a conspiracy theory anymore because they've all been proven true. I've heard Joe Rogan say this. I've heard Glenn Beck say this. It is they've said it in the White House. Vance has said it. And none of it is true. The JFK stuff came out, and it was not like, see, we told you, the CIA and the mob were behind it with the Cubans and the Russians, and it all, like, nonsense. It's, nothing came from that.
Nothing.
The Charlie Kirk shooting, like, they've been drilling down on this like crazy, and it's just a cycle of idiocy where they're trying to convince themselves that this didn't just happen because they have to believe it's, and maybe this ties into the fact that these folks think they're a lot more important than they are.
Oh yeah.
Let's touch base on that for a second. Let's make sure we touch all the bases when we running home. That MTG and all these others, if there is a consistent disease amongst the current flock of Republican maggot leaders, it's main character syndrome. While decent and hardworking people have been running around with imposter syndrome, and we've heard this crap over and over again. And by the way, if you've ever been told you have imposter syndrome, it simply is an indication that you really are good at something, and somebody told you when you're very young not to be so loud about it.
That you wouldn't be. Yeah.
That's all it is. No one without talent has imposter syndrome. No one. If you're good at something, that's when you start having it, because you're like, can I possibly? James Gandolfini had it his whole life. Apparently, every movie he would get. I was with the same agency he was with for a while, and he. Apparently, he would try to, every time he got a project, they would hire him. And then 3 weeks in, he would call his agent and go, we have to pay them back, and I've got to get out of here. I'm terrible. I'm bad at what I do. They're going to find out I'm a fraud, right? It was just an idea. And he was incredibly good at what he did. So no one without talent has imposter syndrome. But a lot of people without talent have this kind of chicken feathers puffery that is in Trump and Vance and MTG and all that crowd. And they have main character syndrome. I must glow. That's so important for people to understand about these folks. They think I must emanate power and energy because I clearly don't know what I'm doing. There must be something magical about me because I don't know how any of this works. Do you understand the psychology that you have to believe that to think that you're this kind of magically important? You have to also believe you suck. That you have to know, I won't even say believe. You have to know that you're not good. You have to know the limits of your ability, of your psychology, of your intellect, to have main character syndrome in this way. They all think they're magic because magical thinking is the only thing that explains the power that they have been able to achieve. Never mind the fact that it's a lot of like second generation rich kid Peter Principling their way into upper management, even though they have no idea how the government works, or how the business works rather. And there is very little difference in the sort of social ladder aspect of how Trump became president as there is in somebody who runs a big giant corporation and they put their son in charge of the trust that owns the company. And that guy, and this is how monarchies formed over the years. Monarchies are really based on this ridiculous notion that I must be magic because I don't know how any of this stuff works. You guys there must be a reason why you guys are praising me. So it's gotta be a gift from God or a direction or fate or something extraordinary because I don't have any skills. And that's why Marjorie Taylor Greene is running for the hills. Because she never introduced a bill that was worth a damn. She tried to impeach stuff, but it was like a memo or a post-it note like, impeach Joe Biden, thunk. Now, years later, her train and Trump's train are colliding together. Marjorie Trainwreck Greene. We'll be back right after this. It's the House Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide. It's funny. It's funny kind of coming, when you can get off of, every time I try to go online and post something or whatever, every single time. And a couple of times I posted things because I wanted people to kind of, on a friend level with our chat room and all the people and the sparklers that are out there and all that stuff, I wanted you guys to know I was still alive and what was kind of keep everybody up. But at the same time, it made me abundantly aware that social media is wholly and completely inappropriate and incapable of handling the weight of true announcements. And that's why the RIP so-and-so thing is always so awkward. I think even for people to process, you know what I mean? Like what do you say? Right. And I think the reason you go, what do you say, is because the space that you're in online seems both close. Thank you. Both close and distant. Thank you. I've always said that like Twitter is texting people at arm's length. Like I don't want to give you my number, but we can chat, right? It's the people you run into at the coffee shop, but you're not going to give them directions to your house quite yet. When it started, and now it's just a tornado of nonsense. Let's see if this. Where is this? Yeah.
10 seconds.
Thank you.
I have fought harder.
Welcome back to the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
All right, so let's take a listen to this, shall we? I just feel like this should, I don't know whether we should pick it apart or just revel in it. But the very woman who, her first act was articles of impeachment against Joe Biden, by the way, who failed the entire time to ever even achieve, even when the Republicans gained control of the House. She was kicked out of the Freedom Caucasians because she called Lauren Boebert a little witch with a B on the floor of the Congress, of the House. And everybody was like, sorry, Boebert's hotter than you are, so we're going to side with her. This is the most high school group of idiots that have ever been, I was about to say have ever been in power. That's not right. Because everyone, there was a window in American government and governments all over the world, by the way. Nobody skips this. One of the things we do a lot of times is pick on our own system because it's the one that's close at home while we're incredibly ignorant of the politics of everyone else. And there's a reason why in England, when the parliament is talking about stuff, people are like, rah, 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 when somebody says, this person, we declare this person is a terrible human being. Yeah. They like, it's a little rowdy and loud, like a bunch of kids at a boarding school, getting to, cheer for their soccer team or whatever it is. So this is Marjorie Taylor Greene resigning.
I have fought harder than almost any other elected Republican to elect Donald Trump and Republicans to power.
Yes, Congratulations, you played yourself. But also, it wasn't even hard work in a lot of ways. It was conniving work. It was clever work. And I would argue that maybe Elon Musk's finagling behind the scenes might have delivered a little more, but we'll see.
I traveled the country for years.
With Matt Gaetz, by the way, Miss Open the Epstein files, toured around with Matt Gaetz, who, for the record, with his buddy Joel Greenberg, was trying to become the next Epstein. Like it is clear that these guys were like, what a great business model this Epstein guy has. Let's do the same thing. You'll make fake IDs. I'll fly the girls around. We'll get some compromise on our buddies. That's clearly what they were trying to launch. And then Joel got himself arrested like an idiot.
I spent millions of my own money. I missed
Excuse me? You don't have millions of your own money.
Precious time with my family that I can never get back.
Well, congratulations to Marjorie Taylor Greene's family. At least they got some reprieve in this.
And I showed up in places like outside the New York courthouse in Collect Pond Park against a raging leftist mob as Trump faced Democrat lawfare.
Which he deserved.
Standing up for American...
Oh, shit. By the way, there's edits in this. Apparently she had to go back a couple times. And she's, by the way, clearly reading. This is not a spontaneous announcement. This is... for the record, if I may, to everyone out there who uses a teleprompter or is using, don't use your laptop as a teleprompter for these kind of things, because you will look below where the camera is and it's very awkward. It's like, hi, it's like when someone's talking on FaceTime and they're trying to look at you, but the camera is in the iPad or in the laptop, straight ahead of you. So you look like you're kind of like staring off into the middle distance like an idiot. Okay, that's where you will also read just below where you'll read just below where the camera is. So you will talk, kind of in this bizarrely like, why are you looking at my neck?
American women who were raped at 14 years old, trafficked and used by rich, powerful men should not result in me being called a traitor and threatened by the President of the United States.
Okay, all right, that's the only part I needed. I was just, can I get an amen? Can we enjoy the fact that Marjorie Taylor Greene has finally realized that the house she built was made of kindling and was burning before she moved in? And
is it possible that she's known this whole time and it's just been in denial because of her bank account?
Yes. I think Johnny Million, you have you have nailed it, as it were, because that's I also think we've seen this kind of. Okay, this is built on, and this is also a crucial aspect of understanding the psychology of maggots, is their whole substructure, the foundation of their thought. And this is why when people are, the foundation of their thought is, if Trump was only allowed to do what he needs to do, everything would work. And the people that are interfering with it, right, the people that are interfering with it, that are not letting him do his tariffs all the way, or not letting him round everybody up without, do a papers, please, brown shirt style sweep of everybody who may even be here legally, but they should have never been allowed to be legal in the first place. If he could just do that, everything would be so much better. But the darn Democrats and those rhinos, and of course, our dear friends in the deep state, this fictional Wizard of Oz that they blame for everything, if they would just get out of the way, Trump's stuff would actually work. It's always the hindrance set up by his opponents or foreign leaders or whatever it is.
Except when he controls the House and
the Senate, and the presidency. And that's exactly it. Because as soon as he got sworn in...
And arguably a lot of the judiciary.
Yeah, well, the Supreme Court itself, never mind the judges he put in, who he feels like owe him a favor, which, again, is a wick that he lit. A fuse that he lit a long time ago that's going to blow up in his face because, again, he hires egomaniacs because that's who attach themselves to him, and those people want a legacy, and so they're not willing to let him burn it down. So some of them, like Amy Coney Barrett, after they handled the issue that they cared about, which was, of course, abortion, Everything else they want to be is a pure constitutionalist. So they're going to set it up so that they can, they're at odds about these ideas. But what suddenly, the lie that was brought in this circumstance, that is, I think, I'm going to get her face off the screen because we don't need that. And no, we're done. The lie that was brought was, if only these obstructions were out of the way, his plans would work perfectly. They're like magic. They would heal the land. The land and the king are one. He has pulled the sword from the stone, and he's a magical person. But it's those ridiculous rhinos and Democrats and socialists and communists and immigrants and the deep state, everybody who's against him, and the judiciary and these activist judges, if they would just get out of the way. Yeah. Well, they did. They got out of the way because the voters moved them. The voters, many who sided with us for years and that kind of stuff, stepped to the side, all stolen election stuff aside. There was a significant enough number of people who either bought into what he was saying, bought into this idea of Genocide Joe, or that inflation was Biden's fault, or that we even had monetary inflation, which we never did. We have never. This has not been a problem since COVID. This idea that we printed a bunch of money and now there's too much money in circulation, and that's why prices are high. It's all supply and demand. It was all supply shock. I said it for years, and then Bloomberg finally was writing articles like, "Hey, we just checked, and there's actually not significantly more money in circulation. There was a $20 trillion hole blown in the economy that we patched with $9 trillion. So there is no way that the amount of money flowing through the economy is the problem. As a matter of fact, it's so much not a problem that one of the ways that they're trying to goose things is by giving Argentina billions of dollars. It's the other way you do it. Turkey runs on U.S. dollars. The entire substructure of their economy is U.S. dollar based. So it's not that there's too many dollars and they have nowhere to go, and therefore people can, several countries have not only just moved to the U.S. dollar as a reserve currency, but as their primary currency. So the idiots, like the U.S. dollar is on its way because the BRICS thing is totally falling apart, as I said it would. And they're not going to base it on, because you can't, none of them will peg it to their currency. Can you imagine China and Russia? Imagine the meeting between China, Russia, and Iran, sitting there going, well, okay, cool. We're going to peg this to our currency. No. We're going to peg the BRICS currency to our currency. No, ours currently. It's going to be, to the ruble or to the yen or, the yuan. Like, there's no way. Like, they're never going to come to that agreement. They never were. So where were they going to peg it to? Where was the BRICS currency? Johnny Million? Dum, 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 dum. Where were the BRICS crypto that they were going to create and the currency that they were going to, what was it going to be pegged to? The US dollar.
You keep saying pegged and I get uncomfortable.
No, you don't. All right. Yeah. So
the smart show for smart people.
Right. Yeah. Let's stop it. So they want to peg it, which means if the U.S. dollar crashes, so would the BRICS currency. Do you see why this is never going to be a thing? And if it is a thing, they now have a reason to make sure that the U.S. dollar maintains its strength. Okay. So, back to this main character syndrome. That Besant, and who, by the way, is a married gay man with children who used to work for George Soros, who is Donald Trump's Treasury Secretary. Now, and Howard Nutlick, who was Jeffrey Epstein's neighbor and bought his house from the trust that Jeffrey Epstein owned. And believe me, in the next hour, we're going to get into the drops that came from the Epstein stuff. Because one of the other aspects, and we got to take a break, one of the other main aspects of this is this idea that as soon as everyone got out of the way, as soon as, Democrats had no power because people on our side of the aisle allegedly either stood down because the Palestinians aren't the right kind of Arabs and don't recognize that there's a big group of Arabs who wish they could clear the area out. Right, Sunni versus Shiite, Shia, that this idea that there's a bunch of people in the United States who are Muslims who aren't that kind of Muslim and would love that area to be cleared out but still exist as effectively Arab territory so that they could move in and that kind of stuff. And people ignorant to that ongoing feud think that they must be all on the same side because of the soft racism of grouping that occurs on our side of the aisle. That they must all be on the same side. They all have the same problem in theory. Nope. So once everybody, the voters for, either subversive anti-immigrant reasons, like on the down low, they were like, I wish these people would get out of here, whatever their reasoning is, moved Democrats out of the way. So they effectively had no power except to shut down the government and squeeze a vote on ACA and limited things like that, which is all the power they have thanks to the voters. Again, we have a representative government. Once that happened, suddenly the MTGs of the world were confronted with the reality that magic, that idea that if they just got out of the way, this would all work. Well, guess what? There are no obstructions for what Donald Trump is attempting to do, except physics, except reality, except the fact that there are not 25 to 35 million illegals in this country. There never have been. It's always been the same number. And the Biden administration was ejecting people directly from the border. As soon as you shut the border, deportations go through the floor because that's where most of them happen. And that's the lie that they have put to immigration enforcement. We had an open border. No, we didn't. We never did. And as soon as everybody got out of the way, they were all confronted with, oh, wait a second. He was always lying. This is a grift. This has always been a scam. This has always been a lie. And if they are even capable, of any kind of self-reflection, maybe, which I think Marjorie Taylor Greene is on the edge of, but I think intellectually and spiritually she's incapable of it. But she's as close as you can get without violating your vision of self. Some people have an impenetrable ego, like myself, where you can't violate the wall. We got to take a break. We'll be back right after this, or I will keep chatting about this because it is one of my favorite topics. The two trains driving towards each other on the same track.
Violating the wall.
Yep. And pegging it to. Sorry, we'll be back.
Okay. Aaron in the chat said that actually is the term, so now I'm embarrassed and disgusted.
Oh, it absolutely is the term. Let's see. Yeah. You've been misled by Steely Dan, I think.
I'm reeling in the ears?
No, Peg. That song.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
60 seconds.
Thank you.
Wait, Devin sounded kind of over us with that.
Yeah.
He's like 60 seconds, you tools. Mm-hmm. Can't believe this is my
Fine,
job.
I got 45, you tool bags.
Oh, all right. Tool bag,
this
actually.
Is why I adore Devin.
I take that as a compliment because a tool bag is very useful and also sounds extraordinarily manly. That's my tool bag.
And potentially very itchy.
Yeah.
If you start sweating and then it just dries out and you haven't changed anything, itchy tool bag.
Mm-hmm.
10 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
This is Damian Perdue of Think Theory Radio, Saturdays at 6 p.m. You're listening to Hal Sparks' radio program, Mega Worldwide.
So in the next hour, we'll Philip Bittner, by the way, is safe and sound I believe on American soil right now. He's come home for the holidays for a bit.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah, that's right. And I think he's going to a game, and then he's going to vote, and then he's going back to Ukraine. So he's as it were given a pass to be amongst family and all that kind of stuff over the last little bit, and I think I'm holding it together fairly well. I had my good cry early this morning before the show, so I'm like, I've kind of anchored myself into where I am right now, which is good, and it's very helpful, and I love you, chat room, for helping me do that. Don't be too nice to me, okay? Many of you will recall on a much lower scale when Chud passed, and everybody was very sweet about that. Yeah. I found out and watched it happen on FaceTime because she died at home, and kind of had a fit, and then went that I had to do a show with Sexy Liberal that night, and I was like, the worst thing that can happen when I'm in a blue mood is people to be nice to me, because I will become a blubbery mess, because I love people and I appreciate it, and it's very sweet, and I'm often panicked by the beauty of life, as I say, and I will become a weepy mess. So I insisted, and people anybody who was in the chat room at this particular show, there might be a couple, can attest to this. I requested that the audience boo me horribly when I walked out on stage. I was like, because they all knew, because so many people just on their phones and all that kind of stuff, they knew it had happened. And so I was like, please be like mean, like as soon as I come out, just boo me terribly. And that will give me, that'll help me get myself together, as it were. And it did, or whatever, because when people are sweet and everybody, thanks chat room, don't try too hard. I know, you can't help. But there is there's a lot to this, that I've been like, I can't believe I was sort of away from while a lot of this was happening. Now, a lot of it didn't happen. A lot of it, the Epstein files, quote, aren't going to be released in their full form. This fight will continue because Trump, and Pam Bondi told a bunch of FBI agents to go through and start redacting wherever Trump is in the files. They went through stuff and definitely attached it to some of their ongoing investigations or national security, which again covers everything. Let's just deal with this up front. That Donald Trump will consider any criticism, legit criticism of what he has done with Jeffrey Epstein as his best friend and wingman for 25 years. He will consider people knowing that, our friends and enemies, foreign governments, the public at large, because our enemies in the Democratic Party are so severe and awful, except for Mamdani, who he, talk about pegging.
I don't know what happened there.
You're right. Yeah. Oh my God. That meeting.
I was extreme.
I was surprised. Like, he was looking at Mamdani in that meeting like Melania looked at Trudeau. And that's, come on. Yeah. Like, I haven't seen a look in somebody's eyes like that since, Peter Thiel visited the Oval and Vance was there pretending to sit behind the desk and drive the car. We'll get to that in a minute. But they clearly view that any of the real news, the real information, the real evidence against Trump that's in the Epstein files would be dangerous to national security if the world knew that his, wingman pedo buddy was the president of the United States, that Epstein's wingman pedo buddy was the president of the United States, and that all the stuff that, like, as bad as the stuff was we've seen, this barely scratches the surface. Now, where, in a lot of ways, is this stuff I've often talked about two trains on the same tracks that are headed towards each other, and there is no diversion. And one of them that's happened is the Epstein estate's ownership of a lot of stuff. Copies of things owned by the Epstein estate, whoever runs that, whether it's, Epstein himself, who's still alive with a new nose, or, one of his billionaire buddies like Leon Black or something running it through a subsidiary that will only release stuff to protect themselves, whatever. But they have the Dead Man Switch copies of stuff if it exists. They have all the backups, as it were, because the Mexican ranch, or the New Mexico ranch, was never raided the way the Florida property and the New York property were. And the New Mexico ranch was built specifically for this purpose. Epstein bought his house in West Palm Beach as it stood. He also was he technically bought his place in New York for $1, $70 million property, given to him by the guy who owns Victoria's Secret and Old Navy and Abercrombie and Fitch, who was running, a sex trafficking ring out of both of those for his rich buddies, using that as cover. Well, that's why we're bringing models in. This is our legit above board thing. That's why we bring models in. And then below it this is why we're bringing 15-year-old models in. So, but they never raided the New Mexico ranch. And if you listen to some of the testimony that has been put up by victims, a lot of the most egregious and worst stuff happened there. And it was a site built specifically and extended on with a sub-basement and all that kind of stuff that was built for what Epstein, did, his power brokering and that kind of stuff. In many ways, the same ways it was the island for those that didn't want to be caught flying to the island. That's what it was. And Trump didn't need to fly to the island, for the record. I still argue that he more than likely went to St. Thomas and took a helicopter or a boat ride over. More than likely the boat, because I think he feared helicopters after two of his partners in his Atlantic City casino died in a helicopter crash suspiciously after a bunch of money went missing or wasn't paid up or whatever, the $15 million in, I think it was in chips that his dad bought, to cover that as it was going under. But the ranch in New Mexico, Trump didn't have to go to the island because Epstein brought the island to him. Yep. Trump had control of Trump Tower, which was an 8-minute cab ride to Epstein's house. So he didn't have to go there. He'd have to be seen doing it. And he was aware, because of Roy Cohn and others, that this was kind of the plan, this compromise idea that Epstein had to build his business empire and operate it. And he knew what was up. He may have even been cued in by his other best friend and the father figure that replaced his own dad when his dad got dementia and Alzheimer's, and when Trump stopped caring about whatever happened to them, except that the checks cleared. That Roy Cohn, who was a father figure to him, and Jeffrey Epstein, who was in many ways a replacement for his brother Fred, who died, were the only two close friends that Trump has ever had. Both of them, in air quotes, dead pedophiles. And it shouldn't shock anybody that Roy Cohn would have cued Trump up to be particularly paranoid and aware of stuff like this happening by the time he met Epstein, or about the same time. They very well may have been introduced in the same circles. That Roy Cohn, may have been around when Epstein was kind of skulking around, and either Roy Cohn went, "That's what that guy does, be careful," or "You should sidle up to him and become friends with him, because keep your friends close and your enemies closer," might be a thing. And then they actually hit it off. But we got to take a break, and we'll be back right after this. It's the Hal Sparks Radio program, Mega Worldwide. I'd like to tell everybody on the, go over to Infotainment Wars on YouTube and sign up and subscribe and all that kind of stuff. Think about becoming a member. I've been offline for a month, so clearly we've taken a hit. So if you could do that, that would be really helpful. Thanks to everybody who's super chatting and all that kind of stuff, and becoming members. It makes a huge difference. It's, this is a time to make the donuts kind of a job. So we'll be back right after this. Yeah.
All right, I'm going to step away real quickly. I'm going to mute so you can't hear what I'm doing.
Thank you.
And I'm going to go put on my big fake Phil beard and be back and be like,
okay, yeah, good idea.
What do you expect?
Do what you got to do. Leave me out of it. All right. And here, wait, maybe I'll. Where is it? Chat. Hi, chat room. Hi, guys. I'm doing his. I'm doing my best to like. Get back on pace. Here's how I think it's going to shake down this week. We have a service next weekend during Thanksgiving weekend, and I've got the jam that I'm hosting on Tuesday, so I didn't want to leave them hanging. So the only thing I couldn't, kind of put aside and wouldn't, I quite frankly, I kind of need it for my own mental health. Thank you for sharing me on Blue Sky. And just for my own part to get up on stage and sing and all that kind of stuff. So I won't have a show like Tuesday through the rest of the week. I will be doing radio next weekend, but I will probably do Monday's shows. Just, to touch base on, with you guys and kind of, catch everybody up and touch, just kind of gather myself about doing this again. And then the following week, I will be doing regular shows until that Thursday, where I'm going to, I might still be able to do Thursday as normal, but I'm going to fly back for some arrangement stuff that I have to do. Hi. Oh, he's back. Hold on. Okay. Yeah. Get out. Okay. You put him away, so get your pegs back out, and Johnny's back. Is that string cheese?
Hell yeah, it is.
You're such a grown-up. I wish I could mature.
Someday.
Yeah. You don't have any goldfish or anything?
Oh man, I love goldfish.
Yeah, right.
They're Old Bay goldfish that are to die for.
Oh yeah, okay, I can understand that. I have a canister of Old Bay up there that I use occasionally when I'm cooking for summer.
Yeah.
Damn. So I was just saying,
I was almost very nice too, right? But I stopped. I stopped myself. I was almost really nice.
Don't.
You know what I was thinking? Between your dad and Greg Brady, architects of a generation.
Yeah.
No, Mike Brady.
Mike Brady, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eating string cheese with my sippy cup. I'm married. I have a 401k.
Oh, you're very adult. How did that happen?
I have a mortgage. I have the Helix XL, the Stadium XL.
Oh, that's
I got it yesterday.
Oh, right on. I have the first Helix.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, the biggie.
I'm not going to get rid of it.
Yeah. I just before I left, I had just gone through when updating all the firmware on it and that kind of stuff, and I was like, I need to run this into my computer and start tracking from the audio sounds that are in it. And then
hell yeah.
And then the Lord went rattle, 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 thud. Thank you. Snake eyes.
Is that a Yahtzee cup? Oh yeah.
No, it was, I guess I was playing craps from Yahtzee. That's good. What a gambler.
Yeah. I love playing Yahtzee. Mm-hmm. It's like poker with dice.
Mm-hmm. But dumber.
You know who you're talking to? I'm going to make Your audience really missed Phil this next hour.
Yes. You don't know how good you got it, people.
That's right. How many seconds?
Oh, God.
4.
That's plenty.
Welcome back to the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
Welcome back, everybody. There is, if I may, a world of hurt that is going to be showing up in Trump's orbit over the next little bit. Now, I have to say, there are two. I'm of two minds about this because this is a really, but this is how I deal with information that is out of our realm of knowing, simply by material standards. Who has messed around with these files? Who is will attempt to cover for Trump? Who will be and this is the big one I want everybody to watch for. Who will be the people who decide, like MTG, that they have had enough, that they're sitting there with a black marker in their hand, striking Trump's name from files, and they see something in this stuff that violates their own identity, that says, for all of the, all the stuff I will do for power and money and control or whatever, but this, if anyone was ever to find out that I did this, everybody around me I would be ostracized, and I myself, my own identity would be fractured. And that's what's happened to a lot of QAnon. That's what's happened to, I would argue, Marjorie Taylor Greene. By the way, Trump says that Marjorie Taylor Greene just needs to take a nap and get back to it. That after calling her Marjorie Taylor Greene, has said she needs to, quote, take a little rest, and he hopes she revives her career. Okay. Can I just say for a second, public service might be an endeavor, but it's not a career. Careers are something you do. We kind of miss. We have a lot of overlap words in the English language. I've talked about the word respect versus the word respect a lot, where you can respect someone's boundaries while still having no respect for them as a person. That's possible, and that a lot of people don't know the difference. That my respecting your right to have a bubble around you that is your physical person does not mean that I respect you as a human being, or I revere you in that same way. That respect is revere versus respect is in a sort of normal social distancing aspect of life, or normal, just like, okay, I'll kind of respect as tolerance of your quirkiness or your differences or whatever it is. That there's a difference between those. The word right, for example, is the example I often use when people talk about how hard it is to learn Chinese and how it's a tonal language. How many tones can you say the word right in that changes the meaning? Right? Yeah. Right? Right. 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 See what I mean? Like, there are 4 tones in Mandarin. That's 4 tones for the word right, and it changes the meaning entirely. So we often get overlapped in this, in some of these words, and career is one of them. You can have a career in politics, but that's not really a career. Your career is the vocation that you have made your life's work. And a lot of the people who call it a career in politics are like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who came into office with $200,000 and left with 20 and didn't write a book, by the way. Joe Biden did the same thing, but he wrote a book that sold. He still lives in the house that he bought on the cheap and filled and fixed up and turned into a piece of property that was worth something, but wasn't beforehand, for the record. Whereas Marjorie Taylor Greene just magically stumbled on $20 million while she was running around the country with Matt Gaetz, again, Jeffrey Epstein Jr., who now works at the Orange Anus Network, because he couldn't even get a job on Newsmax. That's what I call OAN.
Nice.
What else would you call it, Johnny Million? I mean,
nothing.
That's what it is. But one of the crossover words that has been very unfortunate lately, I would say, is taco. Because who doesn't like tacos? Ooh, what's your favorite?
I'm going out for Mexican later. Tacos, it's up there, man. It's one of my faves.
I'm a hard shell taco fan myself. I've adapted, I would say, to soft shell tacos because of in LA. There were 2 places where I would get enough on the pour and come up when I was in LA. Baja Fresh and Boston Market were kind of coming into their fare, right? In the mid 90s, and it was like,
I love me some Boston Market.
Yeah, that was a way you could like fill yourself up with some stuff. By the way, today we have no sponsors, so except the ones for WCPT. I have no sponsor of the show. So if anything, if you ever hear me say something, it's because I genuinely liked it and it was genuinely good. That's the nice thing about not being sponsored by any of these things. By the way, I'm also, for some of you may have noticed, I'm wearing my Epcot shirt because my father worked on Epcot when he was in Florida working for G and Jensen, the architecture firm down there. And I would go spend summers with my dad.
Wait, your dad worked for the Jetsons?
No. Yes, he built a robot in the car. No.
Did you ever meet Astro? His boy Elroy? Jaina's wife?
Astro was a man in a suit. It was really cruel. I don't know if he was actually a mascot. He was a furry. It's what people didn't.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's very sad. Like they had him, they wouldn't let him out.
I never would have pegged that.
You.
I'm gonna make him Miss Phil.
Yeah, you already have, and yeah. So, but my dad worked on Epcot, so I'm wearing this in honor of him. But taco has taken on new meaning lately. Both delicious and hilarious. And, for those that have been living under a rock or been away like I have to some degree, but for a much longer time, taco became a market term. Wall Street traders were using this amongst themselves. This is not something that came up on the web. This was not something that came up on Twitter. This was not a hashtag that came up. This came, the taco, Trump always chickens out, occurred amongst Wall Street traders, and they were calling them taco trades. I'm not going to worry about this stock. I'm going to trade as if the tariffs are not going to happen because Trump always chickens out. Now, I have to say, one of the reasons why I want to do a show Monday afternoon, because I've missed you guys in the chat room and online, and I can't tell you how many times I have scrolled through when I made the post on Instagram and on Blue Sky and looking at the comments on here where I've tried to heart each one because I cannot type because I'm crying so hard because you guys are so lovely. That I've wanted to talk to you guys about some of these things that have happened, but could not bring myself. And there are a couple of things that I gotta say. I've talked about Mamdani being like a kind of shrug for me in a lot of ways because he's a mayor. Yes, New York's a big important city, but with borough presidents and however they run their city council and all that kind of stuff, the idea that the mayor can, single-handedly do stuff is a myth that was created around Giuliani, who was hired basically by the Russian and Chinese mobs to broom out the Italians because he was one, and it gave them plausible deniability so that the Russians and the Chinese could move in, which is exactly what they did. And if you'll recall, Jared Kushner, bought 666 Fifth Avenue from, with the help of and with the blessing of Chinese investors in the Chinese Communist Party. And then the Russians absolutely moved in and took over a lot of the drug trade in New York after Giuliani got rid of the Italians or moved them to New Jersey or what have you. So any mayor in this country, I'm like, because they don't affect national politics. Bless his heart. And if he starts working towards being a congressman or a senator, and that's the ladder he's on, we'll talk. But most of the time, I don't care. It's not going to have an impact. But I got to say, this is particularly hilarious. This is an article in The Atlantic, but they're all over the place. They all look the same. Why Donald Trump seems taken with Zoran Mamdani. The president, Okay, the president likes winners, and the mayor-elect proved he can charm a foe. Okay, BS. Stop it. This is the same lie we hear all the time about Trump is a master of media. No, he isn't. There is people who are I almost said it, but I'm going to do it anyways, pegged to normalcy, if that's even a thing, who in the media who just can't break out of the idea that something's really strange and wrong is happening, and so they can't address it. And that quiet piggy nonsense is a great example, because I got to tell you, I would have been kicked off of Air Force One before it landed if he'd have said that and I was a reporter. The fact that other reporters didn't come to her, that there wasn't an exasperated, what the F was that? What?
Yeah,
from one of those reporters was the most shocking thing about that. Not that Trump said it, because he's a pig. Of course he said it to a woman, because he wouldn't say it to a man because he's chicken crap. But part of what, Trump saying that and having this sort of reaction or whatever, this idea that is built in this lie that some reporters just can't. It's called a scotoma. It's a break with reality that your brain won't permit. So this is how famous people can walk around in public and not be bothered. I think famously Jack Nicholson said, you can go anywhere and being as famous as he is, you just can't stop. If you're walking past somebody, your brain will not go, that was Jack Nicholson. It just won't. You'll do it later. You'll go while he's halfway down the block, and you won't chase him down because it's too far, and you're like social mores won't allow you to turn around and run back towards him most of the time.
Right.
But it's the same thing that when your keys are on your desk and you're like, where are my keys? Or your glasses are on your head or on your shirt.
Yeah.
They can't be there. I think I looked there already. I would, of course, look on my desk. And you didn't, but your brain won't let you. That's a scotoma. So, reporters, mainstream media, do not have a conspiracy to blah, 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 and to help create Trump and they're on his side secretly. No, it's simply a scotoma. They just simply can't process that someone would be that gross because they operate in polite and normal society and with a certain level of standards in their life. They've been taught those standards and they've been drilled into them in journalism that you got to have 3 verifiable sources and all that kind of stuff for a long time. That's why they're being left behind by, social media news influencers, because none of them have been taught that stuff. I can call them out because I never went to journalism school, clearly. But we got to take a break. But Trump doesn't like Zoran Mamdani because he likes winners. You guys are trying to make this into something it ain't. He's just a coward. We'll be back right after this. It's the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide. Worldwide. I can speak. I'm fine. Good Lord. There we go. You're a little late on the input.
Yeah.
The bumper there. It's okay, though. I'll call you back later. Okay, cool. By the way, aren't you glad I didn't say orange?
You sound like Beetlejuice right now.
Right. Feeling a little anxious. You know what I'm saying?
And that is why I don't do 2 shows a night.
That's why I won't do 2 shows a night, babe. I won't do it.
Won't do it.
Back in 30.
Thank you.
Yeah. I part of the reason I also want to do a show on Mondays because I can't wait to see the right wing's response to his meeting with Mamdani. Like they're all going, Can you imagine? Can you imagine them all sitting and watching?
You're locked into the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
So from The Atlantic, today's White House meeting, this was between New York's mayor-elect Zoran Mamdani and President Donald Trump suggests that maybe, just maybe, the U.S. government won't go to war with its largest city. The event was much anticipated as blood sport, a showdown between a young communist and an old despot to use their favorite insults for each other. Instead, the two men put on such a show of good manners that at times I had to laugh out loud at the stagecraft. After a closed-door meeting, which again is a big part of this, Trump and Mamdani summoned the press, and there was an Uncle Donnie seated behind the desk in the Oval Office, beaming as his favorite nephew, Zoran, stood by his right shoulder looking dutiful. Now, there is a question as to who will be more offended by this magnanimous meeting. Because there will be
the people who voted for Mamdani or the people who voted for Trump.
Exactly.
Who hates it more?
Right, exactly. And both of them are, now the Mamdani fans will probably maybe more knee-jerk ready to react to being betrayed. And they don't have the defense against it that Republicans often have about, Trump. They like, okay, he's playing 5D chess. This is amazing. He knows what he's doing, right?
I have heard that that Mamdani might be a witch. That's coming from the
left.
Or
a wizard was what I had heard. Yes, that he must be. Mamdani said in the Oval Office, it was a productive meeting focused on a place of shared admiration and love, which is New York City, and the need to deliver affordability to New Yorkers. And then Trump said in Cro-Magnon toddler terms, I think you're going to have, hopefully, a really great mayor. And he patted Mamdani on the arm. Good boy. This picture, which I'm showing online right now, of them shaking hands is, particularly galling to two major groups of people. The sort of Bernie bro contingent of people that were like, Mamdani is our savior. How could he? And the Trump crowd, which is like, what is happening? He's like kissing up to this guy. Suddenly look, maybe, could it be that Trump is a secret communist? Sure. That's entirely possible. I mean, look at how he thinks the government is the solution for everything. Man, oh man, big government conservatives can pound sand because not only are they responsible for a rise in the deficit, the debt's going up, raising the debt ceiling $5 trillion with one stroke of the pen. Holy God. And then, never mind the fact that I brought up and will continue to bring up until I get to do it in front of, and then I won't stop either, but in front of Republicans from small states that have very small populations, that how dare you even bother with having a governor when there are mayors with more people under their purview than your entire state? Why doesn't Montana have a mayor? I gotta tell you, seriously, why does it need a governor? And anybody who's from one of those states that's like, I'm the senator from the great state of Santa Monica, California, because they have fewer people in North Dakota and South Dakota than they do in Brentwood, which is ridiculous. Not including the students at UCLA, which I think is Brentwood adjacent, right? But this whole thing, the high stakes meeting, which again has a lot to do with people's perception of what things will be, not the thing itself. The high stakes November 21st meeting between billionaire Trump and Mamdani, who has said a fair system wouldn't allow billionaires to exist, included discussions on affordability, federal funds and infrastructure projects, and immigration and customs enforcement operations in the city. Which, by the way, spoiler alert, Mamdani will allow. Let me be clear to the Mamdani fanboys out there. Mamdani, part of the reason they had a closed door meeting, part of the reason why they were glad handing, is the days of New York either being perceived as or openly a quote unquote sanctuary city are over. And one of the only ways you tackle affordability in New York City is to broom out undocumented immigrants who live there and make sure that people who are citizens get jobs. That's the only way it can be done. And here's the thing, if you're a corporatist, to use that broad term, like arguably anybody from Giuliani to Bloomberg, any of the other, or de Blasio even, or Adams, where you're like, we need as much money flowing through New York as possible to keep it the greatest city in the world. So we need a lot of money here. One of the ways you do that is you subvert the workers in the city. You keep a glass ceiling on how much they can earn, because the city has to run like a well-oiled machine. You need people in the bodegas. You need people in the coffee shops. You need people in the hospitality industry running the hotels and all that stuff. And they can't be expensive or they'll stay in New Jersey. And then that'll sprawl. Over time, you'll see, if you looked at Manhattan as it grew, if you did a time-lapse photo of it happening, but for the Twin Towers going away, it would look like moss growing on the side of a tree in one of those old nature documentaries, where it just blooms and stacks, right? One of the ways that you have to you handle affordability in the city is you're going to have to get rid of undocumented immigrants who undermine the pay of New Yorkers.
I'm so glad that somebody finally said it out loud.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, right. Yeah, sure. But you're going to have to set up a system where you're either making people more documented. You're going to have to, with visas and whatnot. New York is one of the cities that benefits from H-1B visas more than, almost any other place except for San Francisco and Silicon Valley. Those are the two primary areas. I would also stack Washington with that, Seattle specifically, and in that way. But H-1B visas, those and Phoenix, Arizona will be the new spot, by the way, because of all the chip fabs. But the H-1B visas specifically, I would say that New York is the hub of those things. So discussed, no doubt, and this isn't even a question, between Trump and Mamdani is the power of H-1B visas and bringing people in, high-value earners, high-value people, to make sure that there is a coordination between ICE and the police, whether they're doing it overtly, pretending like Mamdani will come out and say, we don't want this, but we're powerless in the face of this thing. We're going to do everything we can, blah, 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 while behind the scenes just going, let it happen. But that's one of the only ways you can handle affordability in the city and rents being high, is because you've got undocumented people in, renting in places, or asylum seekers and the like who have had their asylum denied, or people who are waiting temporary protected status, DED. Those people are going to have their status. They've already had it revoked by the Trump administration, so they're going to be moved out. That's how you raise the supply to compensate for the high demand, and that's the only thing that will bring down prices. There are other things that Mamdani will be able to do, but I'm telling you that's why they were so pally. That's why.
That makes sense.
Because I got to tell you, they're only, because of physics, because of reality, because of gravity, there are only so many ways that you can handle that, especially in the short term. If Mamdani wants to come in and do something quickly to start working on affordability right away, it won't involve 8-year construction projects or taking corporate buildings and turning them into apartments, which are, if they're possible at all, as most office buildings can't be converted into living spaces because of how the plumbing works and because of the safety standards in a living space where you sleep all night in a place versus a place you have to vacate every day. They have to make, whenever if you turn an office building into apartments, you have to hollow out the center of it. You have to, and a lot of the New York buildings are built on a column system and hung on the middle column, so you can't take it out. It's just impossible. And you can't have, people living in these, what are these former office spaces. It would seem simple enough, but it isn't, because of all kinds of zoning, all kinds of safety standards, and the difference between an office building where everybody leaves at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock at the latest, has a couple of people working in it overnight, or people who live there and cook and use the toilets all the time, and
Ew.
right. That's the capacity of it. So,
I can't believe people still use toilets.
Yeah, isn't it? Like, you mean you crap out of a window? Yes. All right. What we have here is the latest in open air lavatories with a trough system below. You mean you crap out of a window? Yes. We'll be back right after this. It's the House Parks Radio program, Mega Worldwide. Yes, elevator shafts have a part of that, K-Link, but also it's the central column base that a lot of the old buildings are built on, and that are continue to be built on. It's the best way to build an office building, but it's not good when you're building apartments. That's why if you look at anybody who watches Only Murders, the distinct difference between a living quarters building with a lot of apartments in it and an office tower is the courtyard, and that's so you can escape. So you don't have to go through somebody's locked door to a window to get to a fire escape if you live in the interior apartments. Thank you.
What did he say?
He said something about you and Steely Dan.
And shut up about it. And Steely Dan. That made me way too happy.
Now let's get back with Hal Sparks' radio program, Mega Worldwide.
Welcome back. Trying to keep my mood light.
You gotta.
It helped. Whatever works. Yeah. Thank you, Johnny. I appreciate that. And you're a special man because.
Hey now.
Hey now. So I again.
Use it in a sentence.
Use "hey now" in a sentence.
Yeah, they cornered Hank one time, and they're like, "What do you mean you've always said it? Use it as a sentence." It doesn't work well.
So Trump, and there's a reason why I've given him a new theme song.
Dum 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 stupid.
Right, there we go. So
I like it.
Trump said of Mamdani, "I expect to be helping him, not hurting him. A big help." And then he pats him on the arm while smiling, while Mamdani is beaming. That does not happen if you had a contentious, bold, confrontational, behind closed doors, frank discussion of the realities of the New York with the former resident. It doesn't happen. No. Now, could it be flim-flam? Could Mamdani just be charming him, and he knows that later that he's doing what I would call, and I have been a big proponent of this. I almost called it the Mamdani one, the Macron handshake. Two things you can do with Trump. Attention world leaders, the ones of you that do watch the show and the ones that have assistants watching it, you know who you are. You're glad I'm back because you've been wondering how to deal with a lot of these things and you haven't gotten, you've needed my instruction, and I'm sorry, but family first. The Macron handshake is where you have private meetings with Trump, and then you come out afterwards and you congratulate and shake his hand and just go like, what a guy. Pat him on the back, lots of physical contact. Don't let go of his hand. Just keep pumping it like you're pumping water on an old farm into a bucket. And then, during that handshake, announce something that he may or may not have mentioned as an aside or as or a plus or something you wanted. Like, yeah, he's agreed to give us a bunch of missiles. Just say it. Because Trump is such a coward and also has no idea what he's talking about most of the time or what he's said or promised in the past, that he will be too socially awkward, even as bullish as people think he is, to say, no, I didn't. What the hell? I didn't. Wait a minute. Let go. I didn't promise you missiles. Hang on. Come here. Let's go back in the room. He will never do that.
No.
He will go, you bet I did. Yes, because, right, missiles.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah, we did. Missiles are awesome. Everybody likes missiles. Like, he'll do that. And the same thing might be true of Mamdani. Mamdani might have just BS'd him enough to come out there and go, what a great guy, this guy. I had so many misconceptions about this guy. But wow, what a charming. You should see him eat a burger. It's like watching Yoda eat soup. It's just magic.
Did you see him going crazy over the Filet-O-Fish?
Oh, we need the sound effect of Trump saying, I like the fish. Whatever that was.
Yeah.
Now, why did that happen? Why? Why did he go,
somebody finally asked him something he understood.
No. It's because Trump thinks the name of the... I've said this before, and it came up when he had assistants. It came up from during The Apprentice. That Trump thinks... I love this. Trump thinks the name of Filet-O-Fish at McDonald's is the Fish Delight.
Right. And that used to be the Burger King one.
Was it? Was it the Fish Delight?
The Burger King one was a Fish Delight.
There you go. So he's confused, and he thinks it's the Fish Delight. And so he sends his assistants to go to McDonald's and get a Fish Delight. And they go, they don't have a Fish Delight. They only have a Filet-O-Fish or whatever. And they would invariably, these poor people get it, dressed down because they come back without a fish sandwich, and he'd be all mad. And then later on, somebody would go, he means just get the Filet-O-Fish, stupid. That's what he means. Yeah. And so they would go and come back with it. Here's your Fish Delight, sir. And on the wrapper, it says Filet-O-Fish. It's on the wrapper. And he has peeled back dozens of those at a time over the years, hoovering them like ding dongs, for someone who's, the treat, not the, all right. Peggy,
okay,
listen.
whatever.
Yeah, quiet, Peggy, quiet. So, so he thinks it's called the Fish Delight, but he realized people, again, I have called this out a bunch of times. I know for a fact that people in the White House have seen a couple of my takedowns. I know for a fact. I've got good word.
I sure hope so.
Yeah. Clips that have taken off, and so don't forget to like and subscribe. And I know they've seen it because they're like, uh-oh, if what he's saying catches on and other people pick up on this, we're in deep crap, which they already are because of gravity. It's just a matter of time. So it doesn't matter that I noticed something early, because that's like noticing, hey, if you walk off that cliff, you're going to fall precipitously to the ground. I don't really feel like I'm a genius. I think it's just other people maybe he'll float. That's what I find shocking, is that other people I'm shocked he's not levitating. I always thought he'd levitate, right? You just think, he's going to Wile E. Coyote his way out there and just nobody will hand him the book on gravity and he won't fall. So he knows that he might be getting it wrong. As a matter of fact, he might have just had one, and his own brain,
right?
We know you love the Filet-O-Fish, so we set up the green room he was in just reeked of stacks of Filet-O-Fishes.
What blows my mind, Hal, is that he wants more tartar sauce on that thing. There is plenty of tartar sauce.
There's plenty. Is that the... Do you think that's what that is? Give it the old... Ooh. That's where it came from. Yeah, you tear open the package and... Right? Maybe that's what he's talking about. I like it, the fish. Yeah. Right. That's how he communicates that he wants more tartar sauce on his Filet-O-Fish, is, I like the fish. Right?
Yep.
Just imagine him in any other environment saying that sentence. Talking to Jeffrey Epstein, talking to Steve Bannon, maybe at the same time on FaceTime. I like the fish. But he knew in that moment, by hook or by crook, that he didn't know the name of it, and he didn't want to be called out by calling it the Fish Delight.
I never thought anybody could forget so much so fast without a severe blow to the head.
Right. So
What is that from? That's fantastic.
That's from The Man Who Knew Too Little, the Bill Murray movie. It's Peter Gallagher talking to him. about the one acting job Bill Murray's character had. You know, he loves acting, but he tried it once and he forgot everything. So this is that whole fish thing is because he realized in that moment that his brain is tapioca.
Yeah.
And this whole thing is sneaking up on him. And that's all. Like, that's just the reality. Like, this is Donald Trump getting increasingly afraid to walk stairs. And I got to tell you, we're about 5 months away from, can't we just have an elevator? Wouldn't that be, or an escalator, either one on Air Force One? It's 2026. Why wouldn't we be able to have?
I don't hate the idea.
I got to tell you,
I'm tired of walking.
But he had a golden escalator made so he could. But by the way, maggots will love that while they're paying 25% more for all their groceries in just 1 year. That specifically the gold leafing of the White House, the ballroom, the talk about women getting their heels stuck in the mud because you couldn't have a nice get together at the White House. We need to turn this place into a country club for our buddies, all this kind of stuff. Maggots will love that while they're standing in line at Kroger's. And they do right now. I think nothing says that more than Trump's poll numbers right now.
Yeah.
I'm going to look up. It's hard to keep track of them, but the Fox News poll said yes. Oh, yes. Fox News poll. There it is. Let's see if I can bring it up on the screen without it being... Fox News poll. Voters say White House is doing more harm than good on the economy.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. And there's a little sub thing that they have. The government shut down damaged voter views of lawmakers, Senator Schumer in particular. Well, the Senator Schumer part, what they don't tell you is that he was damaged by ending it, in theory. That's where it wasn't that he got... And by the way, let me tell you something. After spending time in Kentucky and knowing, talking to my family members that are still there and the people that they know, all of my family members, for the record, I don't have any members of my family on public assistance, even though they absolutely could be. I have family members who qualify, but won't do it for pride's sake. They're just that kind of people, which I give them credit for. They manage, some people can't, and that's who that should be for. But they're like, if I can manage it all, I'm not doing this, right? And in talking to them, that they know everybody around them is not just hurting, like this is going to be difficult, like literally empty shelves in their home with children and all this kind of stuff. So the problem Democrats have, and will always have, which is why you have to vote for Democrats so that they actually have power, is because you cannot play chicken with a psychopath.
No.
You will always lose. They will always be more willing to sacrifice human beings than you will. It will only last for so long. They know this. Trump, maggots, Republicans know that ultimately Democrats will always blink because real people are going to get hurt if this continues. And ending it a week before, ending the shutdown a week before Thanksgiving is how long it would take for the funds and everything to get back to where it was so that people aren't, over the holidays, stuck, especially around Black Friday, which would be a huge economic hit, which would be harder for small businesses and the like. They're thinking about that. Democrats are thinking about actual gravity, not the political machinations of it, not the back and forth, not the contest de urination that happens around all this stuff. But what's going to happen to real people? And I got news for you, Democrats. We have to win in actual, in the actual polling booth, because we will never get our goals met ever without a majority in the House and the Senate. We just won't. Because Republicans do not care. Now, some of them, like I've said before, it's amazing how when faced with actually having to govern, people who haven't gotten where they want, where they haven't reached the top of the ladder themselves, if they have an idea that they're going to be president one day, or they're a congressperson who thinks they're going to be senator or governor, and they've got to show their work, Trump at this point doesn't care. Trump's out. Like he's just buttering his bread. He doesn't care about the ramifications of any of this stuff. Legacy nonsense. Cash is king. That's where Trump is right now. And his family is making money hand over fist. They don't care what damage is done to the United States because they can bug out anytime they want. They're renters in the American dream. They are not owners. And they don't care. But the Josh Holleys of the world, the Thomas Masseys of the world, start talking about how we need SNAP all of a sudden. Do you notice that?
Yeah.
Start talking about it because their states need it more than anybody.
And they love power.
Oh, yeah. And you're not going to get any if the people blame you and it flip-flops and then you're kicked out of office and then you got to start from scratch to try and run for president.
Yeah.
After they've already told you to go away. So even then, though, the ones that have reached the pinnacle, they know that senator is the top before they bug out. They know that Speaker of the House is top before they bug out. Being a senator by itself from Louisiana would not be as good as being the Speaker of the House. So Mike Johnson can make all the hay he can while the sun shines, and then he can leave office and have a power position in Republican politics forever, being a former speaker. Republicans have that. Democrats don't, because Nancy Pelosi is more derided, wrongly, I would say, by people on our side of the aisle than she is by Republicans who want to throw her in jail or have her executed for as a traitor. We'll be back right after this. It's the Hal Sparks Radio program, Mega Worldwide. Like, subscribe, consider becoming a Patreon if you would, because it was the Patreon folks that kept us afloat during this time while I was off the air, because it's consistent and it's a great way to support the show long term. Also, there's a Venmo thing. Whatever you can do, that would be greatly appreciated until I'm back up and running. We'll be back right after this. I'm waiting. I always know it's going to come. Hold on. Hold on. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I'm all right.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah. Love you, Johnny.
Love you too, Hal. Big dum-dum.
Thank you. Yeah, there was where's the other one? Yeah, here it is. How do you, what the hell?
How do you?
How do you?
I am happy, you are happy. Let us be happy together, whether the weather is cloudy or sunny. I will always be your funny honey bunny. I am lucky, you are lucky. Let us get lucky together, whether the weather is cloudy or breezy. I'll be there to say, hey, come on, let's take it easy. Because isn't it nice to have the friends that you do? And isn't it nice that the sky is so blue? And isn't it nice to say I love you? Chugga chugga choo choo, woo woo. I am smiling, you are smiling. Let us smile together, whether the weather is cloudy or stormy. I will still be there in the morning. I'll be right by your side in the morning. I'll make you breakfast in the morning. I hope that you like cereal.
Yay!
3PO! 3PO! Shut down all the trash compactors on the detention level. Shut them all. Shut them all down. No. Curse my rusty innards. This is an actual Bluetooth speaker microphone that's
fantastic.
And it has a little belt clip that you can actually use. It's the stupidest thing. It was a gift, but it's awesome. It's literally the trash compactor.
Yeah.
It connects, I think. But you can actually have phone calls with this thing. And between that and my banana.
Hey now.
Sorry. They call me Deacon Blues. The saxophone. All right.
Between that and my banana.
Right. Yeah, that's the things. I would say the happy ending this week, if I may. And I try not to do too much Schadenfreude. This is a headline that I'm just going to present. And I would say without comment, but you guys know that's impossible when it comes to me.
That's impossible.
Yeah. I'm a comment machine, ladies and gentlemen. It is my nature. And the stories, apparently, as we have all reminisced about my father, are sweet and beautiful, but also this kind of like, oh, the Sparks Boys.
The Sparks Boys.
Always, I would say my father was always a lot more modest than I, certainly. But his, even though he was a musician and a singer, he was always kind of like, oh, okay, I'll do it, and then just blew everybody away. That was his methodology. And it wasn't a career. He had a career, in architecture and stuff. So this was almost like a high level vocation. You could argue that he had a career in fixing instruments, even higher than playing and singing. Me choosing to do this for a living, you have to be, I've always said modesty kills in the arts.
Yes.
You must be unafraid to be proud of your skill. Don't brag about your height. Don't brag about your eye color or your skin color. Those are meaningless. You had no control over them at all. But any skill you develop, even if I don't like your art per se, if it's not my style or whatever, I don't have to like what you like to love that you love it. But I honestly appreciate skill when people work on it. I can appreciate it even if it's not something that stylistically I enjoy, So
right.
That said, I love hearing people brag about stuff, and I try to set a fine example in that area. Yeah. So that people feel a little better about being proud of what they do. I think that's great. I think craftsmanship and workmanship and the work that you do can be something that you can be proud of, not gripe about, even if it's just a service or a production job or something like that. There can be pride in that. And I think people oftentimes are told that it can't. That if you're not doing some sort of like follow your bliss passion project, that whatever work you are doing, you shouldn't be proud of because if you like more of that, we'll give you more of that crap. That's not how it works at all.
Yeah.
And being a damn fine employee sounds like contradictory to say to a lot of people, which is weird. It shouldn't be. And as an actor, by the way, I've always prided myself on being a damn fine employee. Always show up, work long hours, work hard, be the best in that moment that you possibly can be as a team effort that we're all trying to do together. Big role or small, that I'm not phoning anything in, right? And I know a few people that I've worked with who basically had a payphone attached to their head all the time, considering how much they phoned it in. Like, you got another quarter? Anyways. But I will say that comment, aside, this headline, 7 polls that show Donald Trump in deep trouble. On November 22nd of 2025 is the day of our Lord, this one, is such it gives me such a lighthearted feeling, a giddiness, if you will.
Gotta feel good.
Oh, you gotta feel good about this, ladies and gentlemen. That I want everybody to go back. There was, around when the election happened, and I was, as mortified as anybody, but I also go, well, this is the reality. And people will famously maybe remember my story of when I was in Kentucky, and I think I was 12 or 13, and I looked in the mirror and I was like, well, you're ugly. Now what? As I was just like, I'm not going to be able to skate on my looks. Better get real charming real fast. And
relatable.
And I feel like I got better looking because of that, because I took the pressure off my face. I wasn't like, Just let it
You
grow.
were always adorable.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I was very cute, but cute doesn't cut it. When Jason from the basketball team is running around, talking to the girls, and you're like, "Hello," So
yeah, I guess we should ask Haley Joe Osment on that one.
Right. So the reality is that I comment is what I do very well, and that's partly because I was like, I've been on a charm offensive since I was 12 years old. 7 polls. Imagine if you had a time machine right now, and you're like, I'm not going to go back and kill Hitler because that's not how it works. It would just create a timeline where Hitler had died, but everybody in my timeline would still go through what they went through because it would just be a split off, and that's how stuff works. But it would be my future, not their past, if anybody watched Endgame. But if you could go back and go, psst, hey, guess what? This is what it's going to say a year from now. November 22nd of 2024, if you went back and showed all the Republicans, along with that by also an article that says Marjorie Taylor Greene resigning from Congress early, not just not running again, but getting out. And by the way, did anyone else notice that she's leaving January 5th? Why not
I did not notice that.
Oh yeah, before the next Jan 6 rolls around? Also, when they're starting to get close on who the pipe bomber might be, that shouldn't be. It's interesting. Start doing that storyline, and all of a sudden she's like, I'm out.
Yeah.
7. Imagine showing those 2 articles to people. Why it matters. Because it's hilarious. That's why it matters. Let's see. Polling averages show Democrats leading the generic congressional ballot. And unnamed, unseen Democrat, just for the D. By nearly 5 points. That, ladies and gentlemen, is outside the margin of error. So not only is it enough to
3 point something?
Yeah, usually 3.5, 3.8, somewhere around there. But even still, that margin of error, oftentimes people will talk about how the margin of error, is like, oh, well, they'll probably win by 1.5 points. Well, the margin of error can go both ways. It shifts high and low. So sometimes it can mean that you'll win by 6 points or 7 or 8 points. Trump's re-election strategy focused in large part on his dependable economic credentials, which I don't know who at Newsweek, how do you write that sentence and not slam your face into your keyboard? Dependable economic credentials? What the hell? I would say the illusion of his dependable economic credentials, that works. The fable, the tale. And placed a strong emphasis on Republican Party unity, which is also hilarious because I have never seen them more divided. All of them are like, we're in a divided country. But what do you mean? Rhinos versus maggots. That's who. They have, the maggots, the far-right maggots feel like they have more in common with the Mamdani voters than they do with Republicans. This is hilarious and has a lot to do with the fact that gravity just works. There are only so many solutions, ladies and gentlemen. It's just the reality. But now, with inflation, the cost of living, and GOP infighting mounting, these polls suggest that Trump risks losing ground as the biggest congressional test of his second term looms. Newsweek contacted the White House via email outside of regular business hours for comment. So they wouldn't have to, I guess. Host polls from different outlets. We're almost at the end of the show. By the way, I want to remind everybody, are you live streaming today or are you just doing a Saturday?
I live streamed on Friday. Tonight I am I'm going out for some Mexican.
Oh, right on. What's his name?
Yeah.
So this...
No.
Hey now.
You want to know. I'm not telling you that again. You'll yoink him from me.
So real quick, I only got a couple seconds left. Fox News poll. Okay. Trump rated worse than Biden on the economy. Fox News poll. Reuters, Ipsos. Trump's overall approval hits second term low, which beats the first term low. AP Nort poll. Approval among Americans plummets. Morning Consult, net approval drops to -10. Emerson College, Trump approval drops among Hispanics, which were a big turn. Nate Silver, remember that weirdo? Trump approval rating hits record low. Unidos US poll, Trump's approval among Latino voters dips. Shocking. love you guys. Take care of yourselves and take care of somebody else. I'll see you for live streams on Monday. Love you, Johnny Million, and thank you to everybody who helped out the show and all that kind of stuff, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye. Thanks, Chicago.
We did it.
There we go. Thank you. You know, two can play that game, Johnny.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's good. I know that one. Isn't it crazy? It's like just hearing a few bars from Kiss Alive 2. I can also name that bowel movement from Dumb and Dumber.
Thanks, that's guys. Right.
Your lion, dog, face, pony shoulder.
Thank you. Appreciate it. So appreciate you guys. I'm off to have an IV treatment. No kidding.
There you go.
I'm going to get
you up and running.
My B vitamins and my hydration replenished because I've been walking on a gravel driveway bare feet, bringing in firewood day after day. And stuff I will share about my days with my waning days with my dad after the fact at some point in the future, but not now.
Yeah.
But
part of the IV treatment is also that red dye number 2 that gives you that youthful glow.
Hue. Yes, yeah, the hue. Yeah. I've been I was hoping they would put some blue in because I have this, like you do, I have this Avatar crush thing happening. And I was like, maybe that'll work.
Oh, yeah.
If I just fit in with them. I'm also have to get my legs stretched. But that's for another time.
Hey, now.
Anyways, all right. Love you, brother. I will talk to you later. Have a beautiful day. We'll talk soon. Okay.
Yeah, we will.
Okay. Bye. There you go. And chat room, thank you guys so much. I'm out. I will be doing shows Monday, and morning and afternoon. I don't know if I'll do guests on the morning show yet. I might just do it to get up to speed with everybody and kind of just go over what's happened in the last couple of weeks in my life and in politics and catch up on things and stuff that I would normally comment on that I wasn't around for, if that's all right. Anyways, much love. Let everybody know, and I'll see you guys very soon. And I've been wanting to play this since I've been gone. It was nice to come back home here so that I could play this in many ways. Just because I've kind of missed being able to play it. I didn't have it on my laptop. And it goes for so much of what's going on. And you guys know this. So, again, I can't tell you how much what you said meant to me, and I will see you very soon.
The screen glows bright with a crooked smile. Words spill out. All venom, no style. Promises made, they rot in the air. A handshake, a lie, a blank, cold stare. Puppets dance, the strings are tight. Shadows whisper in the dead of night. This is some bullshit. We see through it.
Oh my God, you guys, thank you so much. Look at that.
Can't undo it. Say it now. We won't quit. This is some bullshit.
Thank you, Cindy.
Paper thin.